The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. I'm your host, Paul Shaughnessy, here to break down UFC Glendale, Poirier versus Gaethje. But before me and my co-host, Mr. Cody Saftic, get to that, I think we got to kind of run it down what happened last week. All the chaos and craziness that was UFC 223, and not even the event. The event kind of went off normally. Everything involving Mr. Conor McGregor leading up to that. If you don't want to hear any of that stuff, I don't blame you. You probably got overload last week. We just haven't had a chance to say anything about it. So just look into the description of this video or podcast or wherever you're looking, and we'll have timestamps for when the first fight starts. So we're going to just talk about it really quickly. First, a couple little quick thoughts that you have after Conor's... It was a rampage.
Yeah.
Conor went on a rampage.
See, I too feel like it's been overplayed. Like, I've just heard about it so much. It's in the news every other day. They got articles. They got... Literally, it's been dissected completely. So... I, too, am one of these people who are like, oh, man, McGregor again. However, if you want my hot take on it.
I want your hot take.
Yeah, like, I'm leaning towards...
I want your greasy theory.
Yeah, greasy theory is that it was a setup, right? And I know the strongest argument against setup is setups don't usually end with you getting criminal assault charges against you. Like... If you was going to be one of those things like, yo, McGregor, here, go through the back door, create some mad havoc, create a whole bunch of chaos, and we're going to, pump up a future matchup with you and Khabib. Okay, this is all part of the plan. We won't talk about it to many people. You know the plan. Okay, go in. Then why would you get an assault charge out of it? So the theory on it is that maybe Dana knows, maybe Dana doesn't know, but the plan is concocted of you're going to fly down to the event. You're going to go down to Brooklyn. You're going to be let through the back. Everyone keeps saying it's the Mac Life guys that let them in, but apparently some UFC personnel was with them when they first got to the arena. So they know which way to go. They say, okay, fighters are leaving. These are the buses. How else would you just randomly walk in the back and, that's the bus with Khabib on it? You can't see in the bus. You don't know who's in the bus. It's literally just a bus that's waiting there, and he arrives at the right perfect moment that bus is sitting there. Let through the back. He's got a bunch of random hooligans with him. The whole angle of they did it because Khabib scuffled with Lobo. What scuffle? No scuffle. These guys have a casual conversation, and at one point he puts his hand behind Lobov's neck. Now I know people are saying that in itself is a offensive act, like, yo, you're being aggressive here by touching me. However, these guys are Russian. Half the time they're saying, brother, they grab each other, right? Literally, they're both Russian guys, and one's from Dagestan. Yeah. The single collar tie is a position that they've been in many times in their lives. So I don't really see that as that act of aggression. People are saying, well, Conor's best friend, Lobov, is put into this position, so he's being a good friend by flying down from Ireland to get involved in this altercation in New York. Okay, so here's my problem with that. If you were such good friends with me, why would I not be at the arena already? If you're my best friend, I would be at the fight. I wouldn't need to get a phone call saying, yo, my best friend just got into some shit, and then go see him. He'd already been there. And then lastly, throwing a dolly at a fucking bus, dude. What?
Man, that
crazy.
Was, crazy. The thing about all of that and your greasy theories and stuff.
Yeah, go on, because I got some angles here.
There's probably a little bit of truth to that. I think Conor, this was a little bit staged. He's looking for that next big fight, and he was just like, I gotta create. He's a master of creating these big, huge, dramatic scenes and all of that. Like all of his press conferences, everything. Conor became the story of UFC 223. Despite the fact that he was not anywhere near
That's why it's planned.
He always does this, and he's looking for the next big fight. But I think a little bit of this becomes mob mentality. I don't think the UFC knew about it, but I think a lot of this becomes mob mentality. Conor finds the 20 craziest fanboys that he's got in his little crew or whatever. He goes, let's jump on a private plane. The whiskey starts flowing. The cocaine starts getting snorted. Guys are real fired up when they show up at customs in New York. And then when they get to the arena, I don't know who let them in. They said it was the Mac Life guys. But all I'm saying is that you could kind of see it in Artem Lobov's face. Like if you looked real closely, he was obviously there with them. And they're causing a stir, and all of a sudden he throws that dolly through the window, and Artem's face is just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Things just got way too real. I think the amount of adrenaline and rage and the whole group mentality, the mob mentality kind of overtook it. But like him being able to throw that dolly like that, like those things are not light. Like if you ever had to move anybody's, if you've ever had to move houses and you have a U-Haul, like throwing a dolly like that is not an easy task.
Okay, let me counter, right? Countering with the Mac Life guys generally fall around Conor McGregor for the most part. Right? They're already in New York. They're already there filming stuff, right? They let Conor in. So Conor called them. That's a setup right there. Yo, you guys will let me in. Wasn't, holy shit, they put hands on
I'm saying
Lobo.
Conor set it up. I don't think the UFC set it up.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think they would not. Dude, like the amount of, like you can do these types of things and create some sort of stir without 3 fights getting canceled, guys going to the hospital, the lawsuits and other bullshit that's going to come off of this. Like, I think that was I think that's a bit of a stretch. Like you got your tinfoil hat on. You sound like Pat Mayo. Pat Mayo is just saying like it's all fake news. You sound like it's no wonder you guys used to live together. You guys are perfect for each other.
Yeah, no, okay, got a story about that as well. However, back to the Conor theory is that the UFC says, okay, you're gonna go in here, you're gonna make a huge stir, it's gonna mega sell this Khabib fight. Go in, create a little havoc. They tell him, create a little havoc. They don't tell him, throw a fucking dolly through a bus. But it's understanded that they'll run around, they'll ruffle, they'll yell some stuff, they'll have to get separated. It's all good. He picks up this dolly, okay? He throws the dolly at the bus window. I hear what you're saying. Dolly, heavy, probably would do some damage. If it hit somebody in the head, they'd be screwed up.
Someone could have died, man. Like if that shit hits your head.
But it also I don't think he realized the dolly was going to go through the window. This is a large bus. They have hard windows. If you were to throw...
You don't throw it at the window.
He threw it at the window thinking maybe, okay, I don't have much distance here. I'm going to throw it. It's going to hit the window. It's going to bounce off. The bus is going to go off. I'm going to be yelling.
You gotta practice your dolly throwing before you start throwing through windows.
I just don't think he realized it,
He's got all the money. He could have a bus lined up, or I'm going to throw a dolly through. I know he wasn't planning to throw a dolly.
Dude, remember the time living with Pat Mayo, okay? I'm living with Pat Mayo. Hollywood Mike Clay's in town, right? So we're like, let's take this guy out. We have an awesome time, company expense. You're there. We go back to Pat and I's place. We're having a good time. I launch a 26er tequila, probably about halfway full, off the 9th-story balcony, and it smashed a U-Haul.
We didn't like you.
No, wow, it was a terrible decision in hindsight. But
no, it was always it
was
never in hindsight. It was a terrible decision the whole time. You wasted everybody's booze.
It was my bottle, and I've been sitting there for a little bit. Anyways, sure. The moral of the story is it smashes a U-Haul windshield, okay, and it ricochets off, and everybody has a good laugh, especially me, and that's as far as it goes. If had it gone right through the fucking windshield, I would have been like, oh, why did I do that? I don't know why I threw it, but shit gets real once damage gets caused. I think he picked up
fired up.
I think he picked up the dolly. I think he threw the dolly at the bus. When it went through, you go back to that same clip. Lobov's like, Lobov's down to scrap. Lobov's down to run around. Lobov's he's down to get into it. But as soon as it goes through, they're both like, ooh. Maybe he took it a little too far. As for Michael Chiesa, he sees Conor pick up the dolly, get a running start at the bus, and just sits there and watches the whole time. He must not be thinking this thing's going through. He's sitting right at the window, Paul.
But he was asking afterwards. He's like, who threw that? Was that Conor? And there's like, yeah, it was Conor. And you watch all the different videos.
Sure.
And then Ray Borg was just like, my eyes.
If any, that's okay. That's a whole different greasy conspiracy.
I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah, fair. But all I'm saying is if any fighter in the UFC had done that exact same thing, they'd be cut from the UFC, they'd be suspended, there would be some type of retribution.
You can't do anything to Conor, right?
Like, yeah, well, then
you really can't. What I think they're going to do, they're going to give him a 6-month suspension. He wasn't going to fight for 6 months anyway. Well, so basically, you give him a meaningless suspension, so it looks like the PR team is getting in the way or stopping this type of action. We're not going to accept that. He's not fighting until September anyway. Give him 6-month suspension. He's back at the end of September fighting for whoever. You can book him in September. You can book him for the New Year's card. Boom, 2 fights, one at the end of the year, 2018, Conor McGregor. You can't really do anything to him. Because like what, you're gonna cut him? Scott Coker would be licking his chops. He wouldn't care if somebody had a criminal record or anything. Like if he got Conor McGregor on his team, I don't even think Conor would ever sign with Bellator. But
they can't afford him.
No, but Well, you can afford him.
No, you can't.
You can afford anybody if he's going to bring in that much money.
Viacom has billions, but they don't have a platform for. I don't know. Maybe they'd have to.
They would
do
be
it as
licking their chops. They would take out loans. They would do whatever. Any smart fight promotion. I think if they were to quote unquote cut Conor, they would never do that. It's just terrible business. Then the Conor would probably just go on his own and book his own fights and pay for people and run his own, like Mayweather promotion would be McGregor promotions. Like he already has the company set up. It would be the exact same thing. Either way, Conor should get sued by all of these people that were affected. Like even if it was a little bit of it's worse that it was a planned thing. It was a planned thing. It went really, really wrong. You're gonna have to pay with your wallet. That's really my.
Yeah, they won't be able to prove it, but even
prove what?
That it was a planned thing, which it very may well have been.
Yeah, they may not be able.
Somebody concocted the plan. Here's another thing. Why did he take his that little media guy with the camera? He's Irish guy, redheaded kid.
Yeah.
He's always with McGregor. He's always filming stuff. If you were like, I need 20 guys to get into this huge melee. Why would you bring that guy? He's useless. He's half the size of Patty Hule. He's like, oh, the camera, McGregor. It's like, oh, okay, get in the bus.
Because he's probably willing to do anything for him.
Still, man.
You gotta have the guy who's gonna be.
Dylan Danis is there.
Dylan
Danis is from New York.
On the way over.
Dylan Danis is part of the crew. He's down to get into some mayhem. Why isn't he in there creating any shit? Because it's like, yeah, you're actually a somebody. Don't worry. These 20 paid actors I got with me, let them do the damage.
Well,
I'll throw a dolly through.
Dylan Danis is like, I actually live here, so that could be a real big problem. Whereas you can get arrested, post your bail, and get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, but what if they said, okay, you're not allowed to come into America anymore. You're Irish. You don't have a U.S. citizenship. Now you're stuck in Ireland. Or you can go to Europe, sure. But if McGregor lost that ability to come to Las Vegas, that ability to come to New York, that ability to travel to the United States, that would certainly affect his brand. So, like I said, I don't think he meant for the dolly. Maybe he did. It's a dolly, dude. You threw a dolly at a bus. There's really only one intention there. However, like I'm saying, it's possible that the plan was, yo, go start a little shit, and shit got a little out of control, man. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. He's a habitual line stepper. He likes to step over the line.
He's never been punished for any of those things.
Yeah, I know. That's because, like you're saying,
which is why everything gets ramped up. He jumps into the cage at the Bellator event. Everything is just like he never really gets punished because, like, when you present that much value to whatever fight promotion and to entertainment brands and that type of thing, like. People are living by different rules. Some people may be like, oh, it's completely unfair, but like that's just life in general. If you bring that much value, if you're that beautiful, that smart, that athletic, like you're gonna have a longer leash, and that's just the fact of the matter at the end of the day.
It's a sad world we live in, Paul Shaughnessy.
Let's get into the fights here. None of these guys really have all that long of a leash, I would say. We got Dustin Poirier taking on Justin Gaethje in the main event of UFC Fight Night Glendale. 14 fights on this card. It's going to be a long one. And an interesting one on DK because we're used to having a lot less. So like
last week
ownership's going to be spread out a whole bunch more. But this main event, what a banger of a fight. We've got Poirier 8,400, Gaethje 7,800, minus 145 Poirier, plus 125 Justin Gaethje. What's your take?
Yeah, I've been flipping back and forth in this fight. I honestly feel like this is kind of the fight that you could easily just go with the whole dog or pass mentality. Both these guys, if they fought 10 times, I expect them to both pick up victories because they both have a good path to victory, man. Like initially in my head, I'm thinking to myself, Justin Gaethje is one of those guys that just puts mad pressure on people. And with Dustin Poirier, if there's like the slightest knock in his game, is that maybe if you pressure fight him, maybe if you back him up, maybe if you test that chin and get him second guessing himself, maybe that's the case, the way to break a guy like Dustin Poirier. But the flip side to that is that Dustin Poirier is a way more accurate striker. He's way sharper. He's got heavy hands. If you stand in front of him and you try to do this game of baiting him into a war and throwing punches from the wayside, he's gonna chew you up. I think with Gaethje, when he was undefeated, he just literally highlight reel after highlight reel after highlight reel. Like the guy is insane, but he's fighting a low level of competition for the most part, and he's getting seriously hit by a lot of these guys. Palomino is one of the heaviest strikers I've ever seen at 155 pounds. So being able to take those shots, impressive as it is, it's like, dude, you're letting this guy tee off on you, but Richard Petitschnok landed shots on him. Luis Firmino landed shots on him. All of these guys at some point either hurt him or seriously...
Him and Johnson was...
Well, that's
a fight of the night, right? It's like Johnson was landing heavies on him as well.
Well, that's all prior to him coming to the UFC. Then when he comes to the UFC...
I mean, Michael Johnson.
Of course. Yeah. But prior to him coming to the UFC, he beats a string of basically nobodies.
Sure.
That when he came to the UFC, the question is, okay, how are you going to deal against an elite level guy? Michael Johnson certainly at that time was an elite level guy. But yeah, you're right, man. He goes in there, and even though he gets the victory, and even though it's a Fight of the Year candidate, he's getting hit.
Every
man.
fight that he has is a Fight of the Year candidate.
For sure, and that's just going to take its toll out of you. So the next fight with Eddie Alvarez, he's losing.
Can't put Eddie away. Can't put that dog away.
But he's getting outstruck, man. Like, Eddie Alvarez is a much better technical boxer than him. Eddie's lighting him up with hands. I mean, he's down. You could make the argument that maybe he stole the second round just with the leg kick game, but he loses the first round. The second round's a tough round. And in the third round, again, like, you can put the leg kicks on guys, which is typically how he fights, is heavy on the leg kicks. But Eddie Alvarez is a sharper, more accurate striker, and that takes its volume on Gaethje. He's hittable. So what can you do to this guy when he's hittable and you're an elite level striker? You're going to hurt him. You're going to bust him up. It looked like in World Series of Fighting, like the guy just had an infinite gas tank. Like, he just goes forever. But the more hurt he is when he's completely tired, both feet completely planted. So I'm leaning towards Poirier. Thing is, you look at a couple lines on Poirier and say the Jim Miller fight. The leg kicks from Jim Miller took a massive toll on him. He couldn't move that leg. People said, well, he might have blown out his knee. Gaethje throws way
really
better
good leg kicks.
Of course. And then in the Eddie Alvarez fight, Justin Poirier has an awesome start. I mean, that start of that round against Eddie Alvarez, he's all over him. It looks like he's about to knock out Alvarez. But Alvarez takes the shots, and then as soon as he takes the shots, I get that they're illegal knees, but you kind of got an impression that the tide was beginning to turn around the same time that he landed those illegal knees on Poirier, and the fight ends up being a no contest. But if you can take his best shots and you can put a heavy pace on him, you can bring him to war, then you can beat him. So like I said, I'm flip-flopping back and forth. I think both guys are extremely skilled. I think both guys are good on the ground, but taking down Gaethje is a very difficult task. Taking down Poirier is a very difficult task. It's more than likely...
Does Gaethje go back to his wrestling? This is a guy with a wrestling base.
Yeah, but
this is a guy, and like there was an interview with Khabib, and they were asking him about all the guys in the division. And like one of the things that he said that kind of really stuck out, he was just like, this guy's too much of an action fighter. Like, what he should do is mix in that wrestling.
Yeah.
Mix in that wrestling, because he's a talented wrestler. He's an all-American wrestler. But it's just like he just fell in love with being the highlight reel guy, right? And that's fine. That's made him a lot of money. That put him into the places that he is in his career. But if he gets 2 losses, like maybe this is a fight where he decides to mix that in a little bit.
It could be. I was honestly really not surprised, but I think it's easy to think about Justin Poirier's shortcomings more than his high moments. But just listen to this quick little list of guys since losing to McGregor. Carlos Diego Ferreira, proven to be an elite level fighter. He dusts him in the first round.
Yep.
Yancy Medeiros, fresh off headline against Donald Cerrone, seen as a top 15 guy. He dusts this guy in the very first round. Bobby Green. Who dusts Bobby Green in the first round? Dustin Poirier does.
Yep.
If you stand in front of him, you're going to have a bad fucking time. Now, the flip side to that is a guy like Michael Johnson catches him, he knocks him out. Justin Gaethje could catch him and knock him out. It could certainly happen.
Yep.
I totally agree. But Poirier is the more skilled fighter. He is the more technically sound guy. My heart would tell me, my head would tell me that Poirier should be able to get this victory. Over the course of 5, Gaethje's one of those guys that he will blow the load out rounds 2 and 3 and have no gas for a 4 and 5. So maybe, again, lean towards Poirier. But the X factor is with Gaethje. The chin is going to have to go with Gaethje, even though he just got knocked out. And the dog money, plus 125. Like, I do see this as a close fight. I do think both guys can win. Then why wouldn't you take the dog money on
And
it?
I do think on DraftKings you need
Dude,
one of these
$7,800.
You need one of these guys on both sides. Honestly, like all of your non-Gaethje lineups, you should have Poirier in there. All of your Poirier lineups, you shouldn't have Gaethje. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you.
Basically, like I'm gonna be 100% committed to this fight. Like I don't really see how it's kind of like the Rose versus Joanna fight last week. We said it on this show. It's like the winner of this fight is going to end up on whatever lineups.
Yeah.
And your call of like stacking in cash was actually fine too. I think Joanna scored like 72 points in a loss.
Yeah.
That does you well for
I would not
cash.
stack this.
I would not stack this one in cash.
It could be good.
These guys are a little bit more volatile. Let's move on. We got Alex Cowboy Oliveira taking on Carlos Condit. Cowboy Oliveira is 8,700 on DraftKings. Condit is 75. Minus 200. Oliveira plus 170 Condit. We've been seeing a lot of this recently. Those old war horses. We saw it last week with Lozon versus Grutzenmacher.
Thiago Alves, the beating he took from Melender. Like, come on.
This is
a young
We're
man's
starting
sport.
to see a bunch of the older guys, the guys who have been the names in the division, starting to take those L's. And the sports book is not confused by this one at all. Like that's a big line for Alex Oliveira coming in on short notice for Matt Brown. Like, I think the Brown fight was a lot better for Carlos Condit than this one.
Yes and no. My only quick thought on that is Brown versus Condit. If Brown, and I think he was gonna, let's just stand and bang, because that's who Brown is. But Brown's good on the ground. Brown could have easily stifled him the exact same way Magny stifled him. The exact same way that these guys nowadays just take him down. He's got a long list of opponents that have just completely made a fool out of him on the ground. Giving up...
Damian Maia took him down through an elbow, and he got kind of concussed from that.
Yeah, one small elbow from
he got
Damian
finished.
Maia. But even look back to like the Johnny Hendricks fight. It's not that he gets taken down multiple times. It's like every attempt. He gets taken down 12 times. The George St. Pierre fight, he got taken down 9 times. Now you got to factor in that he's dealing with like thinking about retirement a lot. He did retire. Then he came back. Then he lost to Maia. Well, that fight only lasted a couple minutes.
He took more time off. He came back against Magny.
Yeah, gets taken down, I think, 4 times against Neil Magny. 6 times against Neil Magny, actually.
Magny's not exactly some sort of elite wrestler.
No, and to be honest, he's not. I think
he's not even that physically strong. Like,
I was just going to say, I think he's actually a better technical wrestler
than
Oliveira. But Oliveira's way stronger. Oliveira literally only needs to get his hands around your hips, and he'll throw most guys to the ground. And Condit fits into that mix. Look at his last fight, not the first fight, his last fight against the Dirty Bird, Tim Means. It's like he's so much physically stronger than Means because Means is tall, he's rangy, he's lanky. He's not the most muscular guy, he's not the strongest guy. He's a good technical savvy fighter who wants to keep the fight standing. And Oliveira throws him around. I kind of feel like he has the exact same potential to go here against Carlos Condit. Now, people will say, yeah, short notice. I just think, not that Condit shot, just in 2018, his game's not really as effective. I mean, he's been fighting since 2002, I believe. He's got 16 years of service in this sport. His prime was 2012. That's a long time ago, man. You're 6 years removed from the best point of your career. So if Oliveira realizes, I probably can actually strike with this guy, but I don't want to, just take him to the ground and pound him.
I think that's what he's going to do.
I would think so.
Also, Oliveira coming off of let's just go out here and throw hands and bang like he did against Yancy Medeiros. It was a great, fun, fight of the night type of fight. Didn't end well for him. Round 2, Yancy still was coming. Yancy still had the more energy. I don't think he wants to get involved in that type of thing. He knows, I think that would be a good learning lesson for him that like, that's all fun, that's all well and good, but that's not my style. My style is forcing you up against the cage and muscling you because he's got like freakish strength. At 155, he had freakish strength. His strength just still transfers to 170 because he'll probably come in at like 177 or something. This guy's gonna miss weight. Short notice, Alex Oliveira.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Where's the line on him missing weight? Because it's got to be pretty high.
Well, short notice Alex Oliveira, but at 170 pounds. Like,
I don't trust him to make it. I still don't trust him.
I still think he could be okay. Also, just looking at a recent thing with Carlos, this is going to sound super cynical, right? But I'm looking at it the other day, and I was like, man, I love Carlos Condit. Super entertaining guy, but you can make the argument, Paul, was really not all that good. And why I say that is he came to the UFC right after that WEC run, okay? He lost his debut at the UFC to Martin Kampmann. His next fight, he won a split over Jake Ellenberger. Then there's that fight with Rory. He's down 2 rounds. He comes back. He fights Nick Diaz in a fight that a lot of people think he lost, a fight that he ran away for the most part.
Diaz 125.
In 2012. Since then, lost to George, lost to Johnny Hendricks, lost to Tyron Woodley, lost to Robbie Lawler, lost to Damian Maia, lost to Neil Magny. And what are most of those guys doing in order to beating him? Grappling. So the natural born killer he's sick. He's one of those guys that is a fan favorite that everyone wants to see him get back to the true Carlos Condit. But that whole game of just being a good kickboxer and if you get taken down, being good off your back, you got to be really good off your back these days. Yeah, it's not enough to just throw up arm bars and triangles. It doesn't work.
We've talked about the elite part of the game. Nobody actually. Nobody gets like arm bars from guard anymore at the elite level.
Very few and far between.
You know,
and to hurt Alex Oliveira and to gain his respect and to get him wheeling, like Yancy Medeiros probably heavier puncher than Carlos Condit. Let's be honest. But even though Carlos has got all those finishes by strikes, it's at a different point in time. You know, beating Brock Larson and John Alessio and Miura. And Martin Kampmann, his last probably notable victory, Thiago Alves, I guess. They're all shot. Alves is shot. Kampmann was shot. Carlos Condit is likely on his way to being shot. That small elbow from Maia hurting him. Carlos 10 years ago eats that all day. It's just a different time. So think Oliveira gets the job done. I don't really love the price tag.
No,
here.
I don't either.
87, if he gets Condit down, there's a good possibility that Condit don't get back up. And he's one of those guys that because he gasses, he'll either try to finish it right away, but if you're durable like Condit, he might just kind of hold you down for the most part.
Yeah.
And Condit at 7,500 seems to be good value considering his history of finishing. I think his history is kind of...
that guy's kind of dead.
You know why it's called history? Because it's in the past, right? It's just he's not the same guy. So I'm going to have to lean towards Cowboy Oliveira.
Israel Adesanya taking on Marvin Vettori in the middleweight division. We got Adesanya 9,100, Marvin Vettori 7,100, minus 275 Adesanya, plus 235 Vettori. Who do you like?
Yeah, good step up. I think... I don't know if you could say step up for Adesanya. Even though he is super exciting and people love him and he's a hotly touted prospect right now, 28-year-old prospect, he's still got some proving to do.
The
and
holes
Vettori,
are very visible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Wilkinson gave him a go. Wilkinson got him down 3 times.
That first round was you could see that he's working on those things. But it's been a pretty quick turnaround since then.
Yeah.
The question is, does Vettori have the game to really capitalize on that as well? Because we kind of sat here and said, this guy, Adesanya, he's got holes in his game, like even going into it, because we had seen his other fights, like even the Melvin Gillard and some of his other earlier fights in MMA. You know, the guy's kickboxing is world class.
Glory level kickboxing.
He's a stud on the feet,
Yeah.
and he's gonna piece up anybody on the feet. But does Vettori have that game to exploit those holes? Because there wasn't too much time in between. I'm sure he's made improvements. I'm sure he's not working on his, doing kickboxing all the time. Like he's working on sprawl and brawl and how to get himself off of his back.
Yeah.
Probably most of the time in his training camps.
Yeah,
Does Vettori have the game though?
Well, see, Vettori's thing is that he's young, but he's very well-rounded. If he's a better striker than you, he'll keep the fight striking. If he's a better grappler than you, he'll try to grapple you. His last fight against Amari Akhmedov, draw, not sexy by no stretch, but at least he doesn't seem completely out of place grappling against a World Combat Sambo champion, right? And his fight against Mario Miranda, Mario Miranda's a high-level striker. He's a former Brazilian K1 standout. He just takes him down and stifles him with that game. Like, he can kind of do what you don't do well is where he'll try to get you. I'd say he has decent ring IQ. I agree 100% with Adesanya that he's working on all these things. When you're that level of striker, you don't really have to go in. You're going to spar. You're going to keep your timing sharp.
Of course.
But for the most part, you're not trying to learn new things. It's more so, how do I keep the fight standing so that I can use my striking arsenal to eat these guys up? But I think the question then begins, who is helping you with that? And there's no doubt he's getting better, but I don't think he's left. It's not Australia. It's
Zealand.
New Zealand. I don't think he's left New Zealand. When I try to follow anything from him on social media,
with Daniel Hooker. And basically, all the best guys in New Zealand are kind of at their gym. But
yeah. Whereas Vettori trains at King's MMA, where I'm going to say there's a lot of high-level kickboxers, and he's got a lot of good training partners. That last fight with Akhmedov, he realizes in the third round, like, what am I doing here? Let me just go out here and get some bread. He goes after Akhmedov. He hurts Akhmedov. He gets Akhmedov down. He likely has a 10-8 round in that, which is why it ends up being scored a draw. Or at least, at the very least, that's the only definitive round in the fight where you can at least say, okay, Vettori won that round. He's not that bad. He's only 24 years old. He is improving. Against Adesanya, he's got to realize, I'm not as good of a striker as this guy. So what can I do? I can try to take him down. Wilkinson got him down, but I'm super impressed because Adesanya just gets back up.
He gets back up, and that tires the opponent and frustrates the opponent. So it's like, if you don't get him down and do something about it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, he's going to keep fighting, and he's not too bad. His get-up game isn't too bad for somebody who's as green in these spots as he is.
Well, he's super athletic.
Once you keep getting up, you could just see Wilkinson, like, he got him down, he was trying to hold him down. And Wilkinson won round one just on, maybe not, but like basically he controlled the action of most of it. He didn't really do anything by taking him down. And he just basically emptied his own gas tank. And then in round two, it was just like you just saw a guy that had nothing left. So you got to do something with it when you get down there. Now, Vettori may have what it takes to do it. I'm going to lean towards Adesanya, but I just think we're paying hype price here at minus 275. Plus, Wilkinson got into round two here. So on DraftKings, 9,100. Like, I want an early finish. And Adesanya, for all the skill that he has as a striker, isn't exactly a power puncher. So I'm not really expecting a round one finish. This could go to decision. And he's not even the most active, too, because he likes to pick his shots. He's very, very calculated in how he strikes. So this could be kind of the high-priced kind of bomb that, it looks really good on paper, but he doesn't really score based on the DraftKings format of scoring.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think he deserves to be the
Vettori could
favorite.
be a little punt play.
No, he deserves to be the favorite in this fight, but minus 275 is heavy. The 9,100 on DraftKings, I also think it's heavy. So if you're looking for value on Vettori, the $7,100, I don't see him finishing Adesanya, but again, Adesanya is one of these guys that hasn't been really tested in the deep waters.
Yep.
He finishes guys fairly early, and for the most part, not fighting an exquisite level of opposition. So if Vettori takes him in the later rounds, I know what you're saying, like, those scrambles in that fight with Wilkinson made Wilkinson tired and Adesanya was still fresh. But what if it goes the other way around? What if Vettori is completing takedowns and he is grinding him and he is tiring him down? Now the movement's standing.
Controlling him.
Yeah, controlling him. And I think if you look at Adesanya being that big of a favorite over Wilkinson, he should buzzsaw him. But the first round, I think we're agreeing, even though he gets the finish, even though it is spectacular, tougher fight than expected. Now, Vettori, compared to Wilkinson, is a better striker, and he is a better grappler, and he's got a better gas tank. So this is a tougher fight, and it's not like he looked overwhelmingly awesome in the first fight. Not to justify 3-1 odds.
I still like this guy. I think he has a lot of potential.
Agreed.
I just think that this could be a spot that it's just early in his career, and like 3 years from now, if he continues at the pace that, or the rate of improvement that he is on,
Yeah.
Adesanya could be an absolute stud. But those holes are pretty apparent, and people are going to exploit that until it's gone. Maybe they're already gone. Maybe he's improving at insane speed, but we'll find out Saturday night. But preferred play, if anything, on this fight is Vettori at 7,100. Maybe mix him into GPPs. Courtney Casey takes on the karate hottie Michelle Waterson. Courtney Casey, 8,300 on DraftKings. Waterson is 7,900. Minus 130 Casey, plus 110 Waterson. What's your take?
I think I'm going to go with Waterson. It was easy to think originally, okay, well, Casey's just way bigger. That's the problem with Waterson, is that she's literally should be probably fighting at 105 pounds. She's the former Invicta Atomweight champ. You see her in there, and she's generally the smaller fighter against a lot of these opponents. And the higher she moves up the ranks, the bigger and stronger and faster a level of opponent she's taking on, and she's kind of struggling against that. The thing with Courtney Casey, even though she's way bigger, she's huge at 115, she's going to have that size advantage over Michelle Waterson. She's really slow. She's really plodding. She don't mind to box, Paul. So she's one of those girls that'll stand and trade with you. And if you're just a little bit faster, a little bit more mobile, a little bit sharper, and you can just put a little more output out there, you'll just do what Felice Herrig did to her. And
Which was like razor close.
Was it razor close? But Waterson's a better striker.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I agree.
So, Felice Herrig comes from that kickboxing background. Michelle Waterson's more of a karate background, but she's also a pretty decent kickboxer. And it's that elusiveness. It's that step into the pocket, land your couple shots, get out, circle. Courtney Casey does not cut angles particularly good. Her footwork's not all that good. She plods forward. She goes at you. She fights like Beck Rollins. She fights like Ashley Evans Smith. She fights like one of those girls that's very strong.
She's a lot longer, though.
She is longer because she's the naturally bigger girl than someone who like Waterson.
Much bigger.
And I know she's been working on that striking, and coming off that fight with Herrig, she's going to probably want to do more. She's going to want to work a little harder. But I'm just not overly impressed with her, man. Like, when she made her debut, everyone's going to say, oh, when she made that debut short notice against Joanne Calderwood in Scotland, and she lit her up real early with those hands. But it's like, literally since that moment, she struggles against anything considered elite level or upper echelon talent. And when she's winning, it's against, Miranda Marcos. I'm not high on her. Christina Stanciu, I don't think anybody's high on her. She lost to Seo Hee Ham, who's another 105-pounder that just outworked her.
Who has good mobility and is really, really quick.
Yeah, so I think she struggles with that, she's just not all that fast. She probably wants to get this fight to the ground, but Waterson's good on the ground too. So if you're just going to be following her around the ring the whole time and she's picking and choosing her spots, I can see her getting the job done.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. I see a lot of people out there on Casey. I think it's...
If you believe in Arizona hometown cooking, then Casey.
It could be a close fight and maybe a little bit yeah. What's the feast of choice in like Phoenix area?
I don't know. I don't want to say something to sound idiotic, but
I think Waterson's speed may be the difference here. I'm not really Casey and Waterson. Maybe it's a cash game type of play for you, but. There's so many 14 fights on the card. I think this is a fight that you can completely just avoid in general.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just don't think it's going to be very high scoring. It's going to be tough for either one of them to get over 80 points. I think this fight goes to decision. This could be a 60-point win. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine in a cash game if you know the winner. I think it's a pretty close fight either way. But it's not going to really do much for you in GPPs.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I think at best case they score 65 points, 70 points tops, but considering the price tag of 7,983 respectively, you need a lot more than that, or at least you need another 20 points on top of that. So I hear you. Probably a pass as far as DK goes, and as far as the money line goes, if you like the dog, then I think Michelle Waterson's worth a small play.
We got Antonio Carlos Jr. taking on Tim the Barbarian Boetsch. ACJ is 9,000 on DraftKings with Boetsch to be had for 7,200 minus 260 ACJ plus 220 the Barbarian. Can the Barbarian pull off a Dan Kelly here?
Yeah, that's the comparison, Paul. That is the comparison.
That's what comes to my mind immediately because we've seen and Antonio Carlos Jr. He's been making improvements.
He's such a better man because of that loss. He's a way better fighter.
He's a way better fighter because of that loss. But I think that's still hiding somewhere in his existence. If he's not able to get this fight to the ground, we know that Tim Boetsch is a high-level judoka. He's got that. He's really tough to take down. All the guys that try to take him down, like that, usually becomes kind of a problem. And he's got the flip. Well, I don't think ACJ really has the takedowns to dominate. Now maybe he gets him. Maybe he gets him down. If ACJ gets him to the ground, you're in his world. Like he searches aggressively for that finish early on in the fight. If we get into round 3, the Barbarian has a knack for late in the fight when his opponent is starting to wear down of putting you away. Yeah. So my preferred play on a DraftKings perspective is Tim Boetsch. Get a round 3 finish here. Very a la Dan Kelly-esque where, ACJ was able to take him down, but he wasn't able to ACJ was able to take Dan Kelly down, wasn't able to get the submission. Round 3, he's super tired, and the old man puts the hurt on him. I'm not, if it was just equal on both sides, my pick is ACJ, but with the value of plus 220 and 7,200, Tim Boetsch is the play. You got to find some dogs, and I think Boetsch is a guy with a chance.
Yeah, well, I suppose that you could always make the argument that Tim Boetsch has got a chance, baby, because he's proven time and time again that when you count him out, he's got a sneaky uppercut, or in the case of the Johnny Hendricks fight, a sneaky head kick waiting for you. But he struggles mightily against high-level degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. He gets taken down against Jotko completely mauls him.
Jotko's got better takedowns.
And Talis latest, when he took him down, it was like nothing.
Yeah.
And Luke Rockhold come more with the guy. Like, when he hits the ground, he is a fish out of water, as long as you are a good grappler. So yeah, what he relies on is the fact that he's a former Pac-10 wrestler. I believe he is a judo black belt, at least that's what I've been told anyways, although I kind of somewhat doubt that one at times. And he's a big, strong, heavy-set dude. He can make you pay. That comparison with Dan Kelly, that's the one worry if you're an Antonio Carlos Jr. fan, is that he looked good in the first round with Kelly, but he didn't finish him. And in the second round, he completely blew his load. He was super tired. Old man Dan Kelly walks him down, stuffs his takedowns easily, pounds away at him, and finishes him in the third round. But I honestly feel like you take a guy that was fairly young, very green at the time, and you give him time to improve, and you show him the errors of his ways, he's going to get way better. And since then, he's taken down guys like Eric Spicy, for example, at least a very good grappler, right? He's choking these guys out, no problem. He's way better on the ground, and I suspect that that's the issue here. If you're looking for using that same Dan Kelly game plan and having it work, Marvin Vettori attempted something similar against Antonio Carlos Jr. in Las Vegas on the UFC 207 card, I believe, where the first round, Carlos Jr. wins it. The second round, he's kind of struggling on some takedowns, and Vettori wins it. And then in the third round, it's like, this is the time to put some pressure on him. Jr. just gets the takedowns, and when he does get the takedowns, he makes you pay. He's a very high-level guy, and I do suspect that being that big and that strong, he'll be able to take down Tim Boetsch at least a couple times, and with those couple of takedowns, that'll make the difference.
Find the sub.
He's
early submission.
He's also got a freakishly long reach, and I think with Tim Boetsch, who's got short little arms.
Not afraid of throwing an eye poke as well.
Of course, he loves a good eye poke. But Tim Boetsch, you can catch this guy. Like Ed Herman knocked this guy out. Dan Henderson, moving straight backwards, knocked this guy out. His chin's not great. His grappling's not great.
I don't really like Tim Boetsch as much as I was saying I do.
What he does have is
he's a GPP punt.
Yeah, GPP
he's
punt.
A punt.
I feel you. But I think I'm going to take some Carlos Jr. and hope he gets the early finish.
Fair enough. We got Muslim Salikhov taking on Ricky Rainey. 8,900 for Salikhov. 7,300 for Rainey, minus 185 Salikhov, plus 160 Rainey. Salikhov, he's like, what do they call him? The Sultan of Spin. The guy loves throwing spin and shit. That's his
Wushu.
thing. The interesting thing
King
about
of Sanda Wushu.
The interesting thing about all of this is Rainey's fought guys that are a little bit more not normal in terms of their striking approach, right? Like where most people probably became aware of this guy is when he took on MVP Michael Venom Page in Bellator.
Knocked down in the first round.
No, that went to decision.
Rainey versus Page?
Yeah.
No.
Look it up.
I will look it up.
Wasn't that the fight that they got to the third? They went to decision and like MVP looked like shit.
No, you're thinking of Gonzalez.
Look it up.
I will look it up.
Am I thinking of something wrong?
You most definitely are here.
Pull it up.
I will. Whoops, Rainey. No, you're definitely wrong on that. He got punched in the side of the head and got knocked out. It was like a kind of a shot behind the ear. You're thinking of Fernando Gonzalez, fought him in England, went to decision. Bad fight. Yeah, 429 in the first round, KO.
All right, well, there goes my whole argument out of this.
There goes the argument.
The problem is does Rainey have any sort of wrestling or takedown ability?
Yeah, so Rainey's wrestling's not great.
Salikhov is a one-trick pony here. Like, if he can keep it on the feet, he's going to be throwing a lot of spinning stuff. It's really fun. He was supposed to take on Al Hassan in this spot, which would have been a banger. But Al Hassan pulled out, and Rainey comes in short notice to do this fight. But Garcia showed it. It's just like, if you can just take this guy down, he's pretty shitty off of his back. He doesn't really have all that much to do. And that's really it's the path to victory here. If Rainey can get the fight to the ground, wear this guy down, he could pull off a dub, but I don't know if I'm trusting him on short notice.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you want to beat Salikhov, your best bet's to take him to the ground. Yeah, his kickboxing record's like 179 and 38 and 2, like between Sanda and Wushu. In 2008, because it was the Beijing Olympics, the Olympic Committee wouldn't take in Sanda Wushu as an Olympic sport, but told them you can have a tournament during the Olympics. The athletes will stay in the Olympic Village. We'll give out Olympic-style medals for Sanda and Wushu tournament because it's a traditional Chinese sport. And Salikhov won. Like, his striking is on another level. He loves to spin, loves it. And I think he's got 12 finishes in his career. All 12 of them come in the very first round. He likes to get the job done quick. You can watch him in Wushu matches online and like, yeah, dude, the guy's got a nasty spinning back fist. He's obviously known for his spinning hook kick to the body. He's got decent hand standing. He's got good trip takedowns. But against Alex Garcia is a powerful dude, man. We know that with Garcia. We know that he's got power wrestling game. Not most technical sound guy, but if he gets a hold of you, he just tries to outmuscle you. And I don't think it's a fair assessment to say Salikhov's necessarily shit on the ground because he goes 3 for 7 in the takedown department against Alex Garcia. So at least he stuffs some. The ones he stuffs, not that bad. It's that, yes, Garcia's eventually peeling him to the ground, but he sweeps Garcia in the first round, and at the end of the first round when he gets taken down again, he quickly gets to the cage and gets back up. It's that second round he gets taken down, and Garcia clamps him, or gets on his back, clamps his neck, and submits him with the rear naked choke. Rainey doesn't have that kind of wrestling. The one thing Rainey does have is he's not bad in the clinch of just holding you up against the cage. When he fought Page, he chased Page down that ring, pillar to post. Page was way too fast and elusive for him, and he's just running straight the whole time. He's getting countered a lot. It looked like he started to slow down the pace a little bit, but then Page catches him and he knocks him out. It's 2 fights later where he fights Chidi Njokwani for Bellator. Chidi Njokwani's a tough dude and a Muay Thai specialist. He literally gets robbed flat out against Chidi because he loses the fight, but he has Chidi up against the cage the entire time. He just dominates him positionally against the cage. Chidi lands a couple knees to the body, and I suppose that's what persuaded the judges, but it was kind of bullshit. Rainey should have got that win. And since then, he's won 2 in a row for Bellator, but he beat Gilbert Smith, who's a grappler, and he beat Mark Stevens, who's a grappler. So he's not a terrible grappler. But Salikhov is just that much better of a striker that if it stays striking, and I think for a good portion that it will, Salikhov should catch him. And Rainey not going to get this fight to the ground for the most part, at least not consistently. His job is going to be hold you up against the cage. And I don't know that that's the best game plan. Because even the Chidi fight, John McCarthy refs it, and he separates them, I believe, 3 or 4 times, just like, yo, you're not doing anything. It's a path to victory. It's just not a sexy path to victory. The other thing with Salikhov is if you like Magomed Sharipov, these guys are training partners. They're both out in New York right now with
Frankie Edgar.
Frankie Edgar, Nick Catone, Ricardo Almeida, Corey Anderson. You want to work on your takedown defense? Here, go spar with Corey a couple rounds. He's only going to try to take you down.
Spinning back fist, and Corey Anderson will be
Dust.
We'll be wobbling though.
Of course. It's Corey Anderson we're talking about. But good wrestlers, you know what I mean? Like those guys out of Toms River, New Jersey, they got a solid team going. I know he's also friends with Khabib. He's a guy that is from Dagestan. 33 is a little old for my liking to be starting to fight upper echelon guys in the UFC. I don't think he was overly tested at the regional level, fighting predominantly in China, a little bit in Russia. But it's interesting to note, he's Dagestani, trains a lot in Russia, but he was training with Nova União for years, working on his ground game. And when Nova União kind of went to shit, he linked up with his old buddies out in New York. So it's a good fit for him. I think he's a guy that spent a lot of time working on his ground game. Garcia's a terrible guy to try to showcase new improvements, but against Ricky Rainey, who's coming in on short notice, who is a striker first, pretty semi-crap grappler, he could show those improvements. So now you're looking at the price, $8,900. That's big. He could knock out Ricky Rainey. Ricky Rainey has been KO'd twice before. The shot with Michael Page is one singular shot in the side of the head, and it does knock him out, and he is on short notice. So he might be able to get his value back, but I'm thinking because he's going to try to employ the strategy of just kill this fight up against the cage, and Salikhov's going to try to play the circle out, land your big strikes, I think I'm more leaning towards a pass. And if you're feeling bold, and if you want to take some big punt GPP, maybe not GPP for Rainey, but if you want to save some money, I don't think he's the worst pick in the world, but just know if he does win, not going to score high. At least I don't think so.
Wilson Hayes, 8,600. John Moraga, 7,600. Minus 140 Hayes. Plus 120 Moraga. Wilson Hayes coming off of losses to Henry Cejudo, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, and a Ulka Sasaki loss where he was a big favorite and he had him to the ground, started gassing in round 3. We got John Moraga coming off of a surprise knockout victory against Magomed Bibulatov and a win over the trash can Mokhtarian. It's West Phoenix, homie.
I know. Wilson Hayes actually won that fight with Yuta Sasaki, by the way.
No, I said that he won, but he gassed in round 3, and
yeah, that's true.
Things were not looking good. Like I remember I had bet him to win by submission in that fight,
right.
And he had him in all the spots, but Ulka/Yuta Sasaki was able to survive, and he's shown to be a little bit of at least a fiery competitor in a lot of fights, but. Wilson Hayes started when it was the grappling exchanges and his big advantage. If you're able to survive down there, he shows that he gets tired in round 3. John Moraga, on the other hand, he gets taken down a lot. Like that's his one fault in his game is that. I think if Hayes is able to push him up against the cage, suck those legs out, could get on top of him. And Wilson Hayes is a master at getting to the back. So it's a really interesting fight on the feet. I think John Moraga has the slight advantage, at least in power. Wilson
Definitely
Hayes
power,
is no
yeah.
slouch in terms of his combinations and his speed. I think the hometown advantage, maybe the slight advantage in this fight. For me, I'll slightly lean towards Moraga here. On DraftKings 8,600, I feel better about that as a play than on Wilson Hayes at 8,600.
Yeah, these are typically the spots I struggle heavily in because I think with John Moraga, he appeared to be shot. But now he's on an upswing. He's won a couple fights. He doesn't look all that bad. With Wilson Hayes,
he looks like he's on a downswing.
He looks like he may be on a downswing and maybe potentially shot, but I'm going to give one more play to Wilson Hayes. He did not look good against Sasaki, but I also think that his last 2 fights being against the world
best
champion.
guys, you can't really count that.
Yeah, you fight Demetrius Johnson, who is Demetrius fucking Johnson, right? And then you take on the #1 contender in Henry Cejudo. What both those guys have in common is they're really good wrestlers. So Wilson Hayes needs to get the fight to the ground. He needs to try to out-grapple you. When he gets the fight to the ground, man, the guy's got awesome chops in the grappling department. He's a super strong guy. He's a BJJ black belt, obviously. He's very opportunistic with the submissions, but he's also really heavy, grinding heavy. With Moraga is a former Arizona State Wrestling Division I wrestler, but his takedown defense just doesn't really seem to check out. Like, he gets taken down more often than not. If he can keep the fight standing with you, he can make you pay, but I just haven't overly been impressed with John Moraga. When he knocked out Bibulatov, I didn't see that coming.
No.
I lost some money on that. I'll be
too.
straight up here. He walks down this undefeated Russian powerhouse and just bombs him. So you're right. The guy's got power. And against Wilson Hayes, who probably is on the downswing, who's been fighting professionally for a very long time, who doesn't have the greatest chin going. I mean, Joby Sanchez rocked him way back in the day. We remember, like, unheralded guys can come out here and hurt this guy and give him trouble. Moraga's certainly better than that. So I'm struggling on making a pick. I like Wilson Hayes based on I just think he'll get the fight to the ground. When he gets the fight to the ground, I think that he's going to do enough to win 2 of the 3 rounds, basically just being top heavy and smothering him. But with Moraga, again, he's kind of on a good swing. He's not the worst wrestler. He's got a decent submission game of his own, and he's got that fight-ending power at flyweight that we just don't see very often. So tough spot. And looking at the price on it, Wilson Hayes is just a heavy price tag. Could he submit John
Minus
Moraga?
140?
No, the $8,600 for Wilson
DraftKings.
Hayes. Yeah. The minus 140.
You're hoping for a first-round finish at that price with Wilson Hayes.
Well, you could also
or a
look
bunch
for
of takedowns and a lot of transitions and stuff like that, or takedown, get back up, takedown, get back up. It's possible.
I think if he take down, get back up, takes down, gets back up, that's going to gas him out. And if he gasses up, he's going to stand right in front of Moraga and get hit with something. If he's going to win this fight, he needs to get takedowns and do something with the takedowns. Like you said, he's really good at taking the back. If he fights in the way he fought a guy like Dustin Ortiz, where it's like, I'll just get to your back, backpack you. I'm not going anywhere, let's face it. And we're going to keep the fight here, and I'm going to be able to win rounds away from you and end up taking a judge's scorecard. Then yeah, certainly possible. One guy is kind of the hometown fighter in John Moraga. Maybe that's going to fire him up, having his homies out there. Maybe that's going to fire him up. I find a lot of the time with judges, it's not necessarily that the judge is from that area, why he's giving it to you. You know, people always say like, oh,
the crowd cheering.
It's the crowd cheering every time you do anything.
Creates an illusion when you're at any sort of event.
There's a feel in the air, man. I've talked to a lot of fighters after
like
the
Diego
fight.
Sanchez in Albuquerque, like, if it was even remotely close, he's beating Ross Pearson. Everybody watching on TV who's not in that arena thinks that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But the thing is, Diego just swings that air at the end of every single round, and the crowd goes nuts, and the judges, for whatever reason, it's part of like a mentality. I think that just happens.
Look at Sergio Moraes versus the Dirty Bird Tim Means. It's like Tim Means is piecing him up, but the place is pretty silent. Then Sergio like lands a looping overhand right. People are like, oh! The judges are like, oh yeah, you feel the ambiance in the air. It's a very strange task. I don't think that's gonna happen here in Arizona. But yeah, if you're one of those theorists that thinks that hometown cooking is a real thing, then yeah, if it's gonna be a close fight, why not take the hometown guy?
Brad Tavares, 8,800, minus 135. Christoph Jotko, 7,400, plus 115. Who you got?
Got to go with Jotko here. I mean, his last fight against Uriah Hall, never call a fight a fluke. You know, it's obviously a game of skill, but he's killing Uriah Hall really bad in that first round. Everything perfectly. Jotko's a guy that I think when he first broke into the UFC, he just seems serviceable. You know, average Polish talent, doesn't do anything exceptionally well. Good kind of karate base to him. Good striking, obviously, but, you know, split decision win over Scott Askham. He wasn't looking like he was a world beater. But a couple years ago, he made that move to American Top Team, and it seems like that's just, you know, paid off dividends for him. He's a very tough guy. He's a good striker. He's got a pretty solid chin. He's smart. He's got quick hands. He's got quick feet. I don't mind him whatsoever, but he got caught against Hall. We've seen it before with Hall. If he finds that one slight opening, maybe he can make magic happen. Yeah. Whereas flip side with that with Brad Tavares, I've actually made a good amount of money over my. You're always
the Brad Tavares whisperer.
Yeah, because he's so non-appealing. He's very just right off the board average, but his striking's pretty good, and he never knocks out anybody outside of my boy Phil Baroni. Yeah. Why, Phil? Why? For the most part, it's just goes to decision. Like I said, good kickboxing.
Good technical striker.
Good technical striker. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't wow you in any one department.
Doesn't get taken down too much. He's
Again,
usually taking on, like, most of his opponents are not really...
Right average, dude. Right average. And we have seen him get clipped and get knocked down in the past, but I think his chin's pretty solid, striking's pretty solid, fundamentally very sound guy. But with Jotko, I think that Jotko's going to be the ranger guy. Jotko's going to be moving a lot more, but above all else, it'll be output. I think Jotko just puts hands more times on Tavares. If one of them's going to knock the other guy out, I see it's Jotko knocking out Tavares. Tavares, like I mentioned, doesn't really seem to have that fight-ending power, but I could also see this fight just going a 3-round kickboxing match, which Jotko should outwork him and do enough to get the decision. So I do think Christoph Jotko gets the decision. I don't mind the line whatsoever on him, the straight money line.
DraftKings price, crazy value on Jotko.
Yeah,
Jotko, I think, is my favorite underdog on this card,
dude,
from a
for sure.
DraftKings perspective. 7,400, it's close to a pick'em. He's going to be highly owned, but 7,400, he doesn't have to do all that much. If he does try to go for some takedowns, like we saw this guy out grapple Talos Laitis. Like that was a shocking one where he took Talos Laitis down at will and then was positionally dominating Dallas Late's on the ground.
He's improved a lot.
He's a very, very well-rounded guy who started out as a striker. He's coming off of a couple tough losses in his last 2 fights, but I think he's still the better prospect here. So give me Jotko 7,400. I love him. I'll be owning probably an uncomfortable amount of Krzysztof Jotko in this fight.
Yeah, I just don't know where the value from Tavares came from at 8,800.
No.
I mean,
I don't see how he pays this off.
Well, he's just not a finisher.
Not a finisher. His volume isn't even that high.
No.
He's a worst play on the card is Brad Tavares.
Yeah, and he almost, although he did win, thankfully, almost got out grappled by Elias Theodorou. Almost. I could see Krzysztof Jotko beating him on the ground. I could see Krzysztof Jotko beating him standing. I just think that, it's a good play. So sign me up for some Jotko.
Moving on down the card, we got the most expensive guy in the card, Gilbert Burns, taking on short notice replacement Dan Moret, who fills in for Lando Venata here. We got Gilbert Burns, 9,400 on DraftKings, 6,800 for Moret, minus 550. Gilbert Burns, plus 425 Moret. MMA Lab guy, local guy. I guess that's why he got the call on short notice to fight in the Phoenix area here. Does Moret have any of a chance? Because I don't really see much from him. He's a guy who kind of likes to grind and wrestle, and just that's gonna get you choked out if you do that type of thing. And I don't see enough. I don't see anything special from him on the feet to really pose too many problems. That being said, Gilbert Burns, 9,400 on DraftKings. You need that first round finish. You need him to get the fight to the ground. It's very, very possible, but he's expensive. So I don't know. What's your take here?
Yeah, it's hard to gauge Gilbert Burns. I mean, we all know how good he is on the ground. If the fight hits the ground, it's Gilbert Burns all day. But he's got a reluctance to take the fight to the ground.
He may try to show off. Yeah, he's
well,
done
you
that
see
before.
a lot of the time. I think he spent so much time with originally the Black Stallions and then later Hard Knocks 365 out in South Florida, that he spends a lot of time with high-level strikers, and clearly that's a part of his game that he wants to develop. So he's worked hard on that. And, to be honest, striking's gotten way better. Mm-hmm. But sometimes he gets lulled into these matchups, like the Alex Oliveira fight for the first 2 rounds, the Rashid Magomedov fight, where it's man, he's getting diced up by a better striker, right? Yeah. The fight with Michel Prazeres, it's can't take Prazeres down, so now you got to kind of strike with him, and heavy striker, but he gets into these lulls. You'll see Henry Hooft for a lot of time between rounds, not slap him in the face and tell him to wake up, but tell him, Gilbert, you got to do something here, man. Throw some hands.
Even the Cowboy Oliveira fight, Cowboy Oliveira's first fight, where
kicks his ass for the first 2 rounds.
Cowboy Oliveira was winning a dirty boxing match for the first 2 rounds, and then he's just you gotta get to this to the ground. Oliveira coming on short notice. He was super tired at that point. Gets to the ground. When he gets it to the ground, it's absolute magic. His transitions, everything he's able to do on the ground is just insane.
The Krzysztof Giagos fight, the Lucas Sajewski fight, literally the second that they hit the mat, they're over. He's so good on the ground. But even look at the Sajewski fight. He gets rocked standing before he decides. He actually rocks Sajewski back and then gets him to the ground. But it's why stand with these guys when you're that much better on the ground? But he's got to work it. Now, if you're taking on Lando Venata, Lando's a very crafty striker. So the game plan would probably be take Lando down. But now that you get Dan Moret, if he thinks to himself, if he just goes with the original game plan, take this guy down, he's going to win this fight. Yeah. But if he thinks to himself, here's a guy that's a grindy wrestler.
I can work on the stuff I've been working on in the gym.
Time to try to work on a couple things.
That's my worry.
It's next thing you know, he's just slightly outworking you. And Gilbert Burns' gas tank is not great. And you also got to factor in that his last fight against Olivier Aubé-Mercier gets canceled because he's too heavy to be deemed healthy to cut the weight. He walks around heavy. He has a terrible weight cut. A lot of the time he looks zapped in there, and people wonder why. Maybe it's these massive weight cuts. And also that last scheduled fight, your body's peaking, you just went through a full training camp, you're getting ready to fight, they yank you and they say, yeah, you're too heavy to make weight. Now you've got to get back into another training camp right away, getting ready for Lando Venata, a completely different style than Aubé-Mercier. And now that fight's off, and now you got local Dan Moret. He's an MMA Lab guy, trains with good wrestlers. If he keeps his fight standing, he lands some shots, who knows? But I got to go with Burns because we talk about it all the time.
Both taking Burns.
Yeah.
The price is just
I know.
what is scaring me.
But we talk about it all the time that size matters, especially when you're a grappler. Because when you're a grappler and you get the fight to the ground, then that extra 5 or 10 pounds, it makes a world of difference. And Burns is a guy that's considered a big 55er that, hell, he might even have trouble making 55 apparently. And Dan Moret, his last 2 fights have been at lightweight, but traditionally he's a 145-pound fighter, taking the fight on short notice. If he gives up even one takedown or he gets rocked and gets tripped to the ground even once, he is going to be in a world of shit. I agree. You're going to need that first round finish to justify the 9,400. I feel comfortable taking it on a couple lineups. I do see the path of victory for Moret, but I think more times than not, it's going to be Burns getting that to the ground. Not going to play him in every single lineup, and on a 14-fight card where you can afford to take different pieces, you don't need Burns. 9,400, you could save elsewhere and get other high scores, but he's obviously the biggest favorite on the card for a reason. He should be able to win. He should be able to win in
the risk that you're really running here is that he doesn't follow the game plan. That is the best part for him.
Yeah, but even the Oliveira fight, right? First round, doesn't follow the game plan, loses. Second round, doesn't follow the game plan, loses.
And that type of fight doesn't
follows the game plan for like 3.5 minutes and gets a finish.
And that type of fight doesn't pay off his 94.
Yeah, no,
price
no,
tag.
100%.
You know what I mean? If he doesn't, if he goes, let's strike for the first 7.5 minutes. Well, he killed the value on DraftKings that you're looking for. You need him to look for that takedown easy. Go get some easy money. Go get a takedown, a few transitions. Find that sub first round finish. That's what you're kind of looking for.
Yep,
here.
I agree with you.
Got Shayna Dobson taking on Lauren Mueller. Both of them 8,100 on DraftKings. -115 Dobson, -105. Pretty much a straight pick 'em across the board. Shayna Dobson coming off of a second round finish of, I think it was Ariel Beck on the Tough 25 finale. Awful card. And Lauren Mueller coming off of Dana White Contender Series, episode number 8.
Terrible card.
Terrible card. Dobson is basically a stand-up specialist.
She's strong, man. She
is strong. She has some power in them hands.
Damn right.
And she scored 97 points in her last fight. So it's like if you're taking on a grappler who is faltering and failing to get her to the ground, then if she's able to sprawl and brawl, she's going to be active. It's a consideration that you have to make. I didn't do any tape yet on Lauren Mueller, I'm not going to lie, so I don't know if you got a hot take on this one.
No, listen, it's an even money fight for a reason. $8,100 straight up on the board. Nobody seems to have the hottest of the hot takes, but I got to go with Mueller. Dobson's actually, like I said, very strong. It looks like she's more or less just a boxer. She wants to go out there, back you up, lend them hands. She's got a lot of power, especially for the weight class. But she's super green, man. Like, she's 3-1 in her professional career. And on The Ultimate Fighter, she took on Roxanne Modafferi in the house. She got taken down by Modafferi and TKO'd in like 90 seconds. She was big time fish out of water when she got taken down. She somehow miraculously gets a fight on the finale because, dude, everybody got a fight on that finale. She takes on Ariel Beck, who's 4-4, and yeah, she
now
goes
4-5.
Now
after
4-5.
Beating.
Yeah, and you know what? She got hit by Beck. It's just that she was able to take the shots and just back her up. It was a very strange finish on it. Beck was basically like, yeah, I'm done here. Get me out of here. But Dobson didn't look terrible, but also just a very green, developing fighter who got into fighting a little bit late and is gonna, I don't know, I think what you see out of her is kind of what you're gonna get out of her. Mueller, meanwhile, when she fought on Dana White's Contender Series, she fought Kelly McGill, and dude, I don't think she looked bad at all. She's very aggressive. She's also a good striker. She's better on the ground than Dobson, and that's probably the path to victory here, is that go out there, use your striking, use your footwork, use the angles to kind of hit her, fluster her, get her moving forward. You know Dobson's just going to move forward on you. Not particularly cut angles good, but lull her into that striking exchange and then take her on the ground. She's no good on the ground.
Yep.
That's the path to victory to beating Dobson. And so because I feel like Dobson is not going to get any better, she's a little bit older than Mueller. Mueller's probably that developing fighter who's equally good in the stand-up department, probably a little trickier standing and has a better arsenal, but does not have that raw power advantage. But I think she'll be able to dance around, score some points, get some takedowns. The 8,100 seems like it's a little overpriced. But again, when you've got a 3-1 fighter who has not fought anybody, and she fought actually Nico Montano, the current champ. That's her other loss professionally. But Modafferi took 90 seconds to take you to the ground and finish you. Modafferi, great on the ground. Wow, great, what am I saying?
It's all relative.
Everything is relative, Paul. But dude, who does she take down? Like, Modafferi has trouble getting the fight to the ground. Once she's on the ground, fine, sure. But she easily takes Dobson down. And when she takes Dobson down, she murders her. So I have to feel like if you're Mueller and Mueller's team, it's like, listen, we know what she's going to do. She's going to walk in a straight line right towards you, move out of the way, counter offer, use that aggression, and then get a takedown. When you get a takedown, buddy, all day. So I'm going to have to go with Mueller here.
Yushin Thunder Okami takes on Diego Lima, 8,200 Okami, 8,000 for Lima, minus 110 for both of these guys. Okami coming off of collecting a paycheck against OSP on short notice there. Kind of went in, didn't really do much, was taken down immediately, and then it was susceptible to the Von Prue choke. And Diego Lima coming off of the Ultimate Fighter, lost to your boy, Jesse Taylor. The thing about Lima is that chin is such a question mark in every single fight. Does Yushin Okami really have the power to check it? Maybe not, but I don't think it really takes all that much. This is it's a coin flip fight for a reason. I'm gonna lean towards Lima because he's younger, and I'll trust in the fact that he's developing and improving a little bit more over the years, but I'm not gonna be shocked either way.
Yeah, this is honestly the kind of fight I expected to see the UFC put on in 1997, where it's like, wrestler versus striker. You know what both guys want to do. Yushin Okami don't want to throw hands or kicks against a guy like Lima. Lima only 28 years old. Shocking that his chin's that bad and he's still young because he could conceivably fight.
Taking Douglas's...
Douglas is so tough. So tough. You can hit this guy in the head.
Douglas has been winning all the fights in camp growing up.
You could hit this guy in the head
Diego's
with a
chin
shovel.
is the product of his greatness.
Yeah, you never know, dude. It's just like I said, conceivably he could be fighting at a high level for another 4, 5, 6 years, but with his chin, it's a matter of one more knockout might be the last knockout. His first run in the UFC did not go accordingly. I mean, when he was getting blasted by Tim Means or Jingliang Li or dude Eddie Gordon, blasted. And then he goes to Titan FC. Jason Jackson knocks him out. Then he somehow ends up on that Tough Redemption show. Like that shouldn't have been a real season, although Jesse Taylor, my guy. But they had really lackluster talent in that house. They brought back terrible guys. I don't know why he even qualified for that show, considering that he hadn't had a good run in the UFC and just lost at Titan FC 2 months prior by knockout. But here he is. He loses to Taylor because of the ground game, obviously, and against Yushin Okami, even though his chin's so far shot, Yushin just doesn't really have the striking to hurt him.
No.
Yushin is a wrestler. We know that Yushin wants to take this fight to the ground or stall you up against the cage. We know Lima wants to keep this fight standing and use his striking. That is as easy of a contrast. Normally, I go for the grappler personally. But with Yushin Okami, I get the feeling that his skill set is starting to just wear down. Like when you're a grimy old-time wrestler, it takes a lot out of your body. Whereas Lima, his chin's no good, but his skills are still improving.
Mm-hmm.
His striking's always getting better. His ground game is getting better. His cardio is getting better. Chin, probably deteriorating, but Yushin Okami would have to chin check him and land something. And we just don't see that out of Okami recently. I don't mind his fights in the World Series of Fighting. I didn't think he looked overly bad, but his fight with Paul Bradley, most notably, he won a split decision over Bradley, was a dog shit fight. Very, very bad. And he fought Dave Branch in a fight where Branch, who is also a grappler, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Branch knocks him out with, I believe it was a left hook that caught him clean and just dropped Okami. And I feel like if the fight stays standing, Lima's going to hit him. He's going to hurt him. When he hurts him, it's going to cause Okami to go into panic wrestling mode. Okami will try to hold him up against the cage, but this isn't back in the day anymore. He's not as physically strong as he used to be. And, if Lima can shake himself free, he should be able to do enough. Again, we've seen this guy struggle bad with grapplers. And Okami could take him down. But even if Okami takes him down, I don't think he's going to submit him. He's just going to hold him down. So I don't like paying up for Okami at the 8,200. And for Lima, there is that small chance that maybe Okami is getting a little long in the tooth. Maybe he is getting a little bit worn out. This is a guy that fought Anderson Silva the first time back in the early 2000s. This is a guy that's been around for a very long time. I believe he's just about to turn 37 years old. You can catch this guy. You can knock him out. And so for that reason, if I'm playing a GPP, I want some shares of Diego Lima.
We got Arjun Singh Bhullar taking on Adam Wieczorek. Bhullar is 9,200 on DraftKings. Wieczorek 7,000 minus 370. Bhullar plus 310. Wieczorek. Bhullar, kind of a tough debut fight in his UFC debut. Anybody who doesn't really know him, he's like a Canadian national wrestler, Olympian.
Yeah, former Olympian.
Olympian wrestler for the Great White North here. took on Luis Henrique, and Luis Henrique's a decent wrestler, Brazilian national
Brazilian
level
national
wrestler
team.
in his own right. The two guys kind of hung out on the feet. It wasn't all that much happening. It was kind of it was a bit of a stagnant type of fight. He only scored 60 points in that first fight. Wieczorek took on the gift of all gifts, and they were supposed to fight in Poland, and then there was that whole thing about the hooligans, the Polish soccer hooligans or whatever. So then they went to Australia. He wasn't able to lay hands on Anthony Bumbleton. You're not able to put Hamilton away. I had a whole bunch of shares of this guy. I knew that he didn't have very much power.
You had him on a parlay inside the distance. Did you have to wait because the fight got moved? You had to wait the months and it got rescheduled. Oh well.
It was only
every other leg of the parlay came
3 weeks,
through.
right?
It's
And
Hamilton.
he wasn't able to put away Anthony Hamilton. The guy's got no power in his hands, and his takedown defense is atrocious.
Terrible.
Bhullar, you go in here. This guy you can take down. And I was hoping as they went to decision with Wieczorek and Hamilton, I was just like, all right, so I lost my inside the distance prop, whatever. Just get this guy a win. Because I don't want his opponent being minus 700, minus 800 in his next fight. I want this type of situation to happen. I think Bhullar seems to me the safest guy on the card. I think he's going to go across. He's going to utilize that wrestling. This should be very easy. Take him down. The other guy's long. He likes throwing up triangles and stuff. I don't think that's going to pose any threat to Bhullar. Bhullar's my favorite play. 9,200. I think he takes him down. He roughs him up. Maybe gets an early finish. If not, it's just going to be takedown city until he either wears him off or wins a very, very dominant decision.
Yeah, dominant decision I totally see happening. Not feeling this as a DK play whatsoever. I mean, with Wieczorek, first of all, you ain't playing this guy. I think you nailed it perfectly. He's got no power. His last fight, I actually saw him. They gave him a piece of glass, and they were like, we're going to give you 15 minutes to break this piece of glass.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't even do it, dude. Couldn't even do it. Not tough glass either. The weak stuff.
Yep.
It's nothing against him. It's that, like you said, the Anthony Hamilton fight, it's not only that he couldn't finish him, sure, but it's like he didn't even overly look good, dude.
No.
Because takedown defense is not good, like you're saying. His cardio seems just okay. The issue why I don't like this as a DK play, I mean, we're just going to write him off, first of all. With RJ and Bhullar, it's not as if these guys are featherweights and one guy's got a significant wrestling advantage and that the other guy might get back up. They're heavyweights and they're big heavyweights. And if Bhullar takes him down, he ain't going to get back up. So that's approximately 1 takedown per round. You're going to get 15 points. Bhullar's a smothering top game guy. He's not one of these guys that goes out there and pounds you. The Luis Henrique fight had hardly any action. But look at his fights prior to getting to the UFC. The Joey Jagger fight, for example, for Battlefield Fight League, which is where he was their heavyweight champ. He's fought guys with losing records or guy that had very little experience or guys that were considered journeyman, and he doesn't put them away, man. He mostly just takes them down, rides them positionally. There's no doubt coming from that wrestling base and being still very young in your career, he is developing. I do expect him to add new wrinkles to his game as time progresses, but for right now, his comfort zone seems to be get the guy down, dominate him positionally, land a little bit of ground and pound. That last fight with Henrique, I think he was trying out new things. This guy can wrestle pretty okay as well. If I can't get a takedown, how am I going to fare at this level just using my hands? But it was a really bullshit fight. It was very, very unentertaining.
He scored 60 points, which is... Well, if he doesn't get the takedowns, he's not scoring the points.
Yeah, 60 points. So what I'm saying is that in this situation, I do think he gets the takedowns, and I think he scores probably better than 60 points. But let's say he gets 75 points. Do I want to pay the $9,200 for him to grease out a decision where he wins a 30-27, but he doesn't finish? He doesn't almost finish. He gets no knockdowns. He doesn't have a whole lot of positional changes on the ground because mostly half guard's where he wants to be. Side control is probably where he's going to hang out, that and half guard. He's not going to move a whole lot. I mean, I like Bhullar. He's a Vancouver guy. The UFC has an added stake in him in that he's the first, I guess, technically Sikh fighter. He's got a proud Indian background. His old man was a wrestler. You've ever seen pictures of his old man? The guy was shredded, ripped. Like, wrestling's in his blood. He's a fantastic wrestler. He represented Canada at the Olympics, didn't medal, but got to the big dance, right? That means something. But I feel like in MMA, he's developing. He's already one of these guys that's already in his 30s, so you can't just let him loiter around in the regional scene for very much longer. You got to sign him, got to put him to good use. But we saw in his first fight against Henrique that he's developing and that he's not the complete package yet. And I expect that we're going to continue to see him grow. But against Wieczorek, the takedown will be there. you'll be able to ground and pound this guy, but I don't think he puts him
Wieczorek
away.
Get back up at all?
Maybe. I mean, with Hamilton, he was able to get back up, and Hamilton's a big old boy, but Hamilton's not one of those guys that's like, maybe he is. To be honest, I have seen him completely suck the soul out of people before, but like, he's herky-jerky. You can create a little bit of space and go. Bhullar's way more athletic. He'll be stuck to you. And like I said, the fact that the UFC gave him a tailor-made opponent. Jinder Mahal endorses this guy. There's a billion fans in the world that could potentially get involved with watching this guy if you get that Indian market. Let's have him a tailor-made opponent. But he's going to have to continue to grow as a fighter and add new elements to his game and add a killer instinct before he can take out these level of guys. So I think he gets the comfortable win. The 9,200 I don't really like. The minus 370, I'll be parlaying that bitch up.
I'll probably chase a couple takedowns with it. Anyway, let's move on down the card. We got Matthew Lopez taking on Alejandro Perez. 8,500 Lopez, 77 Perez, minus 140 for Lopez, plus 120 Perez. Who do you got?
Yeah, I very much dislike Alejandro Perez. Don't know what it is about him.
Well, our friends Daniel Levy and Shaq on there,
out.
they always refer to him as a weasel.
Well,
And it's kind of the perfect thing. This guy kind of shows up. He doesn't really try to fight. He tries to just grease out decisions. This guy is always in real tight, close decisions. He'll stay at distance. He'll try to avoid the fight at all costs.
Yeah.
But he knows how to win these really close, greasy decisions. That's what he's good at, which makes him a terrible DraftKings play for the most part. In general, like, I don't think this is a great DraftKings type of fight in general. Maybe if you think Lopez is going to be able to land takedowns at will, but he's got good wrestling, but he hasn't. Perez has shown that like he's able to weasel his way out of those types of situations too. Stay at distance. He doesn't get taken down all that much either. I think it's a low scoring fight. I'm just not sure who I think is going to win. I think a close decision, and maybe the weasel pulls it out.
Well, that is clearly what he's good at doing. I've had bad luck with him for the most part, but yeah, dude, you nailed it. His last fight with Alcantara, I thought he won, but like, greasy close fight where some people thought Alcantara won and some people thought Perez, and he gets the decision, baby. The fight before that, Andre Sukumatev, he got dropped 3 times, okay? He got dropped 3 times. He was running the whole time, and at best won 1 round. You can make an argument he did not win any round.
Weasel.
And he gets
Weaseled
a
it.
split decision. The Albert Morales fight. Strong argument that he lost that bad boy.
Oh, yeah.
Strong argument. Gets a draw. But you know what? That's just his recent history. What about when he won the Ultimate Fighter Latin America against Quinones? Dude, Quinones had a 2-point deduction in the 3rd round for headbutting, which is the only reason Perez wins that fight. Like, super frustrating because if you bet against him, he's just killer.
He just finds ways to win, which is good on him. But
you know what though? He's a pretty durable guy outside of Pat Williams catching him and choking him out. He's been training at American Kickboxing Academy for a long time. Boys with Khabib, literally does training with some of the best guys out there. He's got a pretty solid low kick. I mean, we saw him use it against Jorgensen. He was effectively using it in the early portion of the fight with Sukumatev before he kind of just throw that game plan out the window. But he's like one of those serviceable guys. You expect at 28 that he's going to make a little bit incremental improvements every time. He's going to get a little bit better. He's a little bit better. But you just see the same old version of Perez every single time, which is enough to squeak out these close decisions. I think when you're looking at Matthew Lopez, he's a better wrestler. He's definitely a better grappler. And he's a Justin Gaethje training partner. These guys are like best friends. They wrestled for a long time together. They've competed together for a long time together. And they've trained together for a long time together. And he's developing that striking. Like I said, he is good on the ground already. If he takes Perez to the ground, that's going to be his significant advantage. But if he keeps the fight standing, he's just got to do enough to outwork him. His last fight against Rafael Assunção, I don't understand the booking on that fight. Why is it that Rafael Assunção, a guy that you need title challengers, he's a top 5 guy in the world, why is he fighting a non-ranked opponent in Matthew Lopez? Makes no sense to me. But the guy goes out there and he does it. He was on a 2-fight winning streak. He beat my boy Mitch Gagnon. He doesn't look all that bad.
He got dropped in round 1 against Mitch Gagnon.
Yeah, but he came back in 2 and 3. And if you look at his UFC debut,
the chin has always been an issue. I don't think Perez is going to really check that chin, but
all I'm saying is that
one thing that we're seeing from him.
Yeah, but he's a developing guy. Like when he made his UFC debut, he was undefeated at the time. He had finished all but one of his opponents. Dana White sees him on that Dana White Looking for a Fight series, and he makes his debut in Sioux Falls against Ronnie Yaya. Like what a debut! And he wins the first round against Ronnie Yaya. And in the second round, call it jitters, call it bright lights, call it Ronnie fucking Yaya's in this fight against you. He loses. But to come back and win a couple, and then take on a Sun Sao and lose, it's like he's only testing the waters against high-end guys. You know who's not testing the water against high-end guys? Perez, who's super cool in this mid-level gatekeeper role. I gotta think Lopez gets the job done. I'm not super high on him because the Weasel weasels his way into score. You wanna know what's frustrating too? The Sukumantath fight. So I talked to someone and they were like, dude, that's an example of home cooking at its finest because it's in Mexico. Perez, I get it.
This guy weasels all over the globe.
The lone Mexican judge scored it for Sukumantath. The 2 American judges scored it for Perez.
He has a way. He has a way of doing it. I don't know.
Who knows? So he's got a shot, sure, but I gotta go with Lopez to just get those takedowns and beat this guy. Don't like the price tag, but minus 140. I'll take the minus 40. The 8,500
completely, to be perfectly honest.
Fair enough.
And finally, we got Cool Hand Luke Saunders, 9,300, taking on Patrick Williams, who can be had for 6,900, minus 430 for Sanders, plus 345 for Williams. Take it away on your boy, Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, I got the same mentality for this one that I did last week for Beck Rollins, Ashley Evans Smith.
Okay.
It might be greasier than I think. It might be closer than I think. I'm going, fuck. I'm on Ashley Evans Smith. I'm on Luke Sanders. Luke Sanders is beating Patrick Williams. I don't want to hear nothing about it. Williams is obviously athletic.
Sanders just has a way of just shitting the bed so much.
I know.
He's so much better than these guys. Sukumantath, like, how the fuck did that happen?
Because you're striking with a striker. It was a terrible game plan.
Alcantara, it's just like he is beating the shit out of Alcantara. Yeah, what happens? He gags it away. The guy he's immensely talented. When you just look at like tape on him until he loses, you're just like, this guy's a stud. But then he finds ways to fuck up, and that's the biggest problem with him.
No, dude, honestly,
your boy, because you used to go on this long diatribe every single time about Cool Hand Luke, so cool.
Everybody knows my love for Luke Sanders, former BMX professional, turned Tennessee. He was a Tennessee like D3 hockey player, won the championship 2001, turned Tennessee State Wrestling champion 2003. I love me some Luke Sanders. Undefeated prior to coming to the UFC. Beats Maximo Blanco. Short notice. Up a weight class at 145. First round submission. Fuck, Luke Sanders is the man. I love me some Luke Sanders. But you're right, dude. The Alcantara fight, it's just how cruel of a sport MMA is. The Alcantara fight, it goes from homicide to him submitting. Like, it's crazy. Knee bar? Are you serious? What the hell just happened here? And then in that fight with Sukumantath, I watched that fight with my dad. And in the first round, I got Sanders, obviously. I tell my dad, I go, man, this guy's got bad ring IQ. My dad says, what do you mean? I says, he should be taking Sukumantath down because Sukumantath not really known for his ground game. And Sanders is good on the ground. My dad says, why? He's winning the stand-up exchanges. I said, yeah, but why would you not just take the fight to the ground? Well, Cody, he's got skills he's been working on in the gym. He wants to try different things. He doesn't want to just go out and take every guy down. I guess you're right, Dad. Wins the first round, doing pretty good in the second round. Clip. That's why you don't stand with a striker for a prolonged period of time. Mix up the takedown, do something. It was very frustrating for Sanders. But against Pat Williams, this is just so tailor-made to get him back on track. Pat Williams has fought, this will be his 4th fight in the UFC since debuting 4 years ago. He fought once that year. He took a year off, fought another time. He took 2 years off before he came back against Duquesnoy, in which he lost. He's a one-round fighter, Paul. You look at his entire regional scene career.
His shining moment was running across the cage and catching the choke against Alejandro Perez.
He uppercuts
Not
him,
allowing himself to get weaseled.
Yeah. But prior to coming to the UFC, he was basically known as a one-round guy. The times that he was losing for the few times... Yeah, the guy's ripped. He's also 36 years old. He doesn't fight a whole lot. He's out of a very small gym in Florida that's not known for producing guys. And because he's an ASU veteran, he was on the same team as Kane and John Moraga and Aaron Simpson and CB Dalloway and Ryan Bader and Eric Larkin. Like, his wrestling should be his bread and butter, but he doesn't really use it all that much. I mean, he does, but he's no good at holding guys down. So you look at his UFC debut against Chris Beal. The first round against Beal, he gets a takedown, but Beal just gets back up. At the end of that first round, okay, He's completely cooked, gassed, and Beal's fine. In the second round of that fight, you've never seen a guy more gassed. Beal just throws up a flying knee. It eats him right in the face. He's knocked out.
Yep.
Year off. Comes back against Alejandro Perez. That fight only lasts 23 seconds, so it favors him. That fight with Ducanoy, dude doesn't start out bad.
No,
For the first 2.5 minutes. And then he's completely gassed. He gets Ducanoy down. Ducanoy just gets back up, something he's not particularly known for doing, but he does against Patrick Williams, who's not good at holding guys down. And then because he's tired, because he's gone for takedowns, because he does a lot of stance switching, because he darts around in and out of the pocket, because he's heavily built, he gasses out quick. Now, I'll give him one thing. He does got heavy hands. He could clip a guy like Sanders, who we have seen.
And Luke Sanders
But you're only betting on clipping a guy.
has a propensity
Happened
to
one
find
time.
ways to fuck up.
Yeah, you know what? I hate to say this, but I'm gonna let you know how it feels.
I don't want Patrick
'Cause
Williams at all. I don't
you
trust
know how
him.
this feels. But he's my Justin Scoggins, bro. I know you know how that feels. He's so talented.
Yeah.
Why is he fucking up? I don't know. Why is Scoggins fucking up? I don't know, Paul. But he's got to be Pat Williams, right?
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So
but
give me some Sanders.
If this card opens up and it's just like, oh my god, like he was beating the shit out of him, and then
I'll know it's cursed.
and then he
I'll
ate
know
like an
it's
elbow
cursed.
on the inside in the clinch or something. Like I don't know. Luke Sanders just has a way to fuck these things up.
Okay.
But
my last point is.
But he should be able to kick the living shit out of this guy.
Yeah. You know, Alcantara, he's a really good grappler. You make a mistake, he'll make you pay. Sukmantath, pretty good striker, man. Pretty good striker. Catches you, he'll make you pay. I don't really know what Williams can do here. He's not the same level. But
charge at him like he did against Perez and hope that he catches some sort of
or he
weird
says,
standing guillotine
I'm going
or
to try
something
to
like
pace myself this time, and it will not be good.
No, that's not what you should do.
I don't think he's going to be able to take down Sanders, which means he'll probably have to wing some shots with him. But again, this guy's 36 years old. He's about to turn 37, and he debuted in the UFC at 32. Like, he was late getting into the game. And he has fought approximately 4 times. This would be his 4th fight in almost exactly 4 years. Like, that's just not enough. Sanders, you want to know something crazy? Sanders is fighting at 135 pounds right now, right? Yeah, he beat the shit out of Dan Moret, who's fighting Gilbert Burns, like 5 fights back in the RFA ranks. Like, come on, man. Come on. You know what that tells me? Don't bet Moret. Do bet Saunders. So.
Fair enough. Any final thoughts for UFC Glendale? Like the main event is fire. Like I can't see that being a bad fight. In terms of like rostering guys, like fights I'm targeting, Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. You want some of that. You really liked Antonio Carlos Jr. and Salikhov.
Yeah, well, from guys that I really like, because I think Poirier, Gaethje, and we spoke about this, you might want to split them. If you're going to play them in DK, have some shares of both guys.
Yep.
I'm thinking Poirier can get the job done, but again, 50-50. Dog money on Gaethje is very appealing to me. Alex Oliveira, I think he gets those takedowns. Marvin Vettori, Adesanya, I do think Adesanya gets the win, but I really don't like the pricing. And an undefeated young guy like that is going to get humbled, and maybe it's going to be Vettori that's going to do it for him. Michelle Waterson, way faster than Courtney Casey. She dances around. Don't like the price on DraftKings. Carlos Jr., I think he gets the job done on DK. I think he gets the job done straight up. 260, gets that finish. Salikhov, Rainey, seems like a trap to me, but I basically never bet against Russian guys, so give me Salikhov. Moraga, Haste, another close fight. Gonna have to lean Haste. Tavares, Jotko, I do like Jotko. The pricing on him
Jotko
is
the
fantastic.
best underdog play because he's taking on an opponent too that doesn't really finish guys. So like the floor is safe with him. If he gets the win, he's probably getting at least 70 points. So he's getting close to the price tag you need.
Yeah, what you love too in a guy like Jotko at 7,400 is that it allows you to fit in a guy like Gilbert Burns, and now you're looking good. I mean, we talked about it last week. Last week wasn't the best week for me, but Chris Grutzmacher really did save the day because he comes in at $7,300, and his path to victory is not just
survive round
decision.
1.
Yeah, dude, survive the first 2 minutes. Like we talked about Joe Lozon's gas tank, and I see that in some other fighters on this card. Like they need to finish the fight quick, or they're going to fade out. When they fade out, it's a bad time. And with Grutzmacher, saving that allows you to take Magomed Sharapov. It allows you to take Khabib if that's who you want to go with. It allows you to take, I wanted Ray Borg before. Glass on his eye. I got a greasy theory on that one too. But it is what it is. You need to save those some cheap money. That's why Vettori is kind of appealing to me because $7,100, you might be able to get the job done. But when you talk about a guy that can get the job done in Jotko, that can get a finish,
And
that's
is not
even
even in
better.
that much danger of getting blasted. It's Jotko.
Yeah, because other guys that I like around that price tag for the finish, there really isn't anybody, you know? Ricky Rainey's going to have to grease out a decision. Carlos Condit might be able to finish Alex Oliveira if the fight goes 3 rounds and Alex Oliveira overextends himself, but that's like betting on Johnny Hendricks and Anthony Pettis in this day and age. Like, we talked about it. Like, you know, time goes by for some of these
The old
guys.
war horses are dying.
Old war horses are dying. I think something like Condit, the guys that Condit have beaten are all retired, right? Like who is he soundly beat? Nick Diaz doesn't fight anymore, and Thiago Alves just got murdered by a newcomer. I don't know if he's sticking around much longer. And Martin Kamin's been retired for eons. Like, who exactly? Rory McDonald's even fighting the UFC anymore, although that's obviously his biggest win, and it was a come from behind win over a young kid. So.
Yep.
I don't know. I just think the best days are behind for Condit. For that reason, I'd have to go with Alex Oliveira. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, this is not the sexiest card because a lot of it screams decision to me.
And on DraftKings.
Lopez Perez, Wieczorek versus Bhullar, Okami versus Lima potentially, Jotko Tavares, Reis Moraga, Rainey versus Salikhov. Like, dude, a lot of these fights could be decisions. So you got to pick and choose your spots.
You got to pick and choose your spots. There's 14 fights, which means like ownership and all of that on DraftKings is going to be super spread out.
Unless,
you got to pick your spots, and a lot of them, as we were saying, like are decisions. So it's going to be interesting from a strategy perspective.
But stay tuned.
Which
though.
top guys do you draft?
I'd say stay tuned because the weigh-ins, as of the shooting of the show, the weigh-ins haven't happened yet.
Gilbert Burns doesn't make weight very easily, and there's a bunch of guys.
No, Gilbert Burns makes weight, but Conor McGregor throws a dolly through a bus window, and Gilbert Burns gets glass all up in his face.
Then we're down to 8 fights again.
Shit changes real quick.
Absolutely.
Shit changes real quick. So we'll have to see what happens.
All right, so that is it for us for breaking down UFC Fight Night Glendale, Poirier versus Gaethje. I want to thank Cody Saftic for breaking down all of the fights with me. I want to thank Pat Mayo for switching this show for you and all of us. For both of those guys, I am Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!